Okay, we are about to do our final little wrap up. It is Thursday today.
Today's Thursday.
Thursday, October 24th.
So we've been officially done for a week. We finished on the 16th.
Yeah, we stayed in Sagres for a couple of days after we finished, and then spent a couple of days in Faro. Flew back on the 21st, which was Monday, several days ago.
Late Monday night.
Yeah. Stopped into the office Tuesday, had my first meetings yesterday, and about to head off to a few meetings, so we are right back at it.
Yeah.
One of the questions a lot of people ask us about, like, you guys must be so tired, but I don't know, for us, I'll say for me, having the last 3 or 4 days in Portugal was really good, a chance to really sit back and reflect, and I'll do my own little reflection after this video, but I feel pretty good. Jet lagged combined with a lot of bit overwhelming work coming at me right away, but otherwise I feel pretty good.
You're a little bit sick first couple of days, just...
Yeah, my body shut down right after the ride. I'm still have a bit of sinus stuff.
Yeah.
My knee swelled up, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me too, just, slept pretty good on Monday night because didn't sleep on the plane, and then last few nights just up in the middle of the night, up at 4 yesterday. So, but yeah, I got to go watch my cross country team race at the Valleys yesterday, which was kind of fun. Didn't have to be there. They didn't know I was coming, and I just showed up and was a spectator. So that was cool. I think physically too, I feel great. The rested days were awesome in Portugal. We were reflecting on last year's finish, and it was just a 180 in how we did it. And this one time was way better. So that was great. I am still dealing with my hand. So I am getting that checked out tomorrow. So not sure what's going on there, but definitely not riding or lifting or doing anything in the little bit until I get it checked out. So that's a bit of a frustration. But other than that, yeah, the rest of the body feels great.
What was your highlight, babe?
Yeah, it's funny because we were just looking at some photos, and it just seems so long ago that we left Norway that it's easy to say, oh, the highlight was definitely Portugal. And I would say, yes, it was, to just finish the way we finished. We saw family right before, riding along the cliffs, the beautiful ocean. It was warm. We knew we were going to be done and staying on the beach the next day. So I think for sure that was definitely a highlight. But having to reflect on 90 days of being away, I think the highlight was just the people that we met, because there were times where they were there at the right time to not save us, but we said trail angels along the way. But they were also there just in moments where it brought so much fun and joy, and just a moment of like, oh, they actually care about you and they're interested in what you're doing. And so I think that would be the highlight, just all the people that we met at the right times. And then our LCC visit, for sure, just getting to visit our charity again right in the middle was just a reminder of why we're doing this. And I would say doing it with you, like just doing it together again, and generally enjoying each other for almost all of it.
So we've talked about the highlights a few times. So those are my highlights as well. So there's not much for me to add to that. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I started out with a terrible mindset, and it was tough for me to get my head wrapped around exactly why we're doing this. But the number of times that the people reached out to us, and the timing of that was pretty instrumental in keeping us going. And I was actually surprised at how much people cared that we're actually doing it. So those would be kind of the highlights, and including the LCC, of course, and the finish. I'll start with the low point. Navigation was very difficult for me. I did not prepare very well. I had the GPX files loaded on my Garmin, and I literally uploaded the software on my phone that I was going to use for some of my route planning at the airport before we got on the plane. So that was tough. And then as soon as we landed, we assembled our bikes and cycled from the airport to Kirkenes, and I realized that the European maps are not loaded on my Garmin. Even though I'd done research saying that they should have been, they weren't on there. So trying to buy the maps, trying to find a computer where I could upload my Garmin, and then just the navigation was there. There were times I just wanted to take my Garmin and my phone and just chuck them and smash them. Like I was just so frustrated. And it was frustrating for Kristen because she would ask me what was going on and I never had a good answer for her. So that was very difficult for me. And to a point where we're like, we got to change this because it was bad.
Yeah.
And my saddle sores, we didn't talk about it much, but they were ongoing. I finally ended up using cortisone cream, which helped a little bit, but that's a top priority before we do our other 3 Continental rides is finding a seat. And I already had a few people reach out to me with some suggestions and ideas, so that wasn't easy as well.
No, I think probably the navigation for me was also a low point, just because, and we've discussed this, I don't want to have the route on my phone. I think that would be worse. And I did have the ability to look at some of the maps early on, and then I didn't have any maps in France and Spain and Portugal. So that actually wasn't great, because then I couldn't help and I couldn't see. And I'm trusting that he knows what he's doing, but he's hating it. He's frustrated. He's making mistakes. So then I get frustrated at the route, not necessarily him, but in the route.
I took it personal at times.
I know. And I apologize for that.
Oh, I know.
I mean, it's just so frustrating when you're lost and you're tired and you just want to finish and then you can't figure it out. So that just added to it, I think, was how much he was hating it. And then we were both like, we're not even enjoying this. Why are we doing this? So it was good to shift mindset, I think. And we had reasons we had to. One, my frame broke, or my tail fin rack broke, so we had to adjust. And I think when we did that, it was like, oh, this is actually pretty good. We could do this. And then with my hand, so it forced us to look at it a bit differently. And we both love being on the road, and we were in some areas that maybe we wouldn't have seen had we not had to adjust. So I think that was good, but that was definitely challenging for you, which made it challenging for me and how to deal with that. And I think also just my doubting in the middle of the day when things were really crappy, or we were in this hike-a-bike, or we thought we'd finish, just doubting the end result of where we were going to end at night, which put pressure on him because I would be, where are we ending up? And not that I needed to know.
Why are we climbing through this town again? And
yeah, when we could easily go around, which is honestly an option. You could go around, but then sometimes you couldn't. And
we tried to stay on the route as much. So we didn't veer off the official EDT route too much. Like we would run parallel to some of them because like I said, the rack.
We weren't taking an easier way. It just was, we had to alter based on some of the things. But I think just me doubting the process and where we'd end, and just even going like, why am I worried about where we're going to end? Every night we've ended up somewhere. I've had a place to lay my head. I've been warm. I've been safe. So I think just working through that, and just trusting that God had it all settled for me was a really, the spiritual part for me this year was that. It was just trusting when it's really hard that everything's going to be fine. It's going to pass. You're going to be okay. May not be exactly what you think, but that's part of the journey. And I think for me, that was a real growth point personally.
Yeah. I think that did test our communication a lot because there's times I didn't want to answer her questions because I didn't have an answer. And then, of course, I'd get pissed off because she's looking for an answer. And so I think that was, between you and I think that was the toughest part. And then our communication, like I think of something for 2 or 3 hours and all of a sudden I ask her a question. She has no clue what I'm talking about. And I'm like, didn't we just talk about this? So the sense of time and headspace was difficult. I felt the communication on this trip was a little more fractured than it was last year, maybe because we were together for a significantly longer time. And
and it was more challenging more often.
Yeah, I've done some tough endurance stuff. I would say there's times on these days where I'm like, I don't know I've ever done this many consecutive days of just mentally and physically being exhausted. Like there were some times I'm like, holy cow, like this is absolutely brutal. So
yeah, and I think that is what added to the communication part. And yet, we were great. Like we don't listen to music. We just talk. There's a lot of silence, which is where your mind can wander. But I think that was really good. Like at no point did we ever feel like we wanted, you want to quit because it's so hard, but not like we were saying, yeah, we're done. That's it. We're done. We just never even got there in the midst of all the crappy parts. We still every morning we looked forward to our coffee and pastry, and then everything was right with the world.
Yeah, in our next little town, right? So
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah. So I think that was incredible.
What are some other questions people keep asking us?
I just, how was it? And that's such a, how was it? And so yesterday I got that question a lot, and I just kept saying it was everything. It was all the feels. Like we went through, me personally, every emotion within the day multiple times, and the good definitely outweighed the bad, but when you're in the bad, it's like you see no way out. So it just seems it could be that thing that you focus on for so long, and yet every morning we got up and ready to ride. Like we didn't, maybe your body didn't feel 100%, but you knew, well, I'm just getting on the bike. And in a lot of ways, it's so much simpler than coming back home. Like
Getting on the bike for me in the morning sometimes was the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
To get everything desensitized again.
Yeah, for me, no, because my body felt fine, but there was a couple cold mornings. But I think like that's just the interesting part of you get into this rhythm. When we finally got into the rhythm, I would say there were sections where we just couldn't get into a rhythm, and I think that was where it was just really difficult. We were off trail in the middle of bushwhacking, and you just couldn't you couldn't ride enough. But I feel like we definitely got there in Spain, like when we made some decisions to ride a bit differently. And so I think that was just, it was everything on repeat every day.
I would also say that when the riding gets tougher, I get quiet and I grind harder, and I don't take the time to sit and explain to Kristen kind of where my mindset is. So if it gets dark out and we need to get somewhere, I just ride harder to make sure we get there. And then Kristen gets exhausted, and then she hates it, right? And then you've seen a few sections where she's in the dark and she's in tears. And I had never doubted that I would get there, but I just put my head down and just go quiet and just grind harder, which isn't fair, because she doesn't know what I'm thinking and doesn't know where we're going to end up. So,
but that was part of my journey of trusting in that, so it got easier. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Like we can ride. We know how to ride, and we can ride hard. And so when you just can't ride because of the terrain or something, it just stacks up. But
yeah, the planning, like we have a good idea on how long things take based on distance and elevation, but the terrain was so varied that, the frustrating part, I explained this to people, on a smooth surface, you can go downhill at 20, 25, 35, 45 kilometers an hour. And there was times where we would climb uphill and then have to descend, but have to walk it. So you're going uphill at 7 kilometers an hour and you're walking downhill at 5 kilometers an hour. And sometimes, you're on your bike for 4 hours and you've covered 20 kilometers. And then you're like, how are we going to cover 100 kilometers? And it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So those are stressful days.
Yeah.
But we're excited about the next one. Stay tuned. We're deciding which continent and what that looks like. It's going to be either Africa or South America, and both of them have their challenges.
Or Asia.
Yeah, or Asia.
Everything's on the table right now.
Yeah, and then I'm looking into different bike setups, just knowing the amount of mechanical issues that I go through on my bike, the stuff that wears out so fast just because of my size and weight, things that break. So I have to reevaluate that going into third world countries versus first world.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about things we'll do differently to alleviate some of the stuff we had, so that's pretty good.
The donations that came in, you guys are amazing. Right now, as of today, we're about halfway to our $100,000 matching campaign. Once, if we do reach that matching campaign, then we're going to be over $400,000 this year. Yeah. So last year we fell short. We're hoping this year we won't, but that's going to take a little bit of work to get there. But $500,000 a year for 5 years is no easy task. So we thank everybody that
We're not done
donates.
Working yet.
No, every dollar matters.
Yeah.
So don't think that $10 or $20 is too little, because it all adds up and it all goes to a great cause, which is what we noticed at LCC, the students that were supported there and the love we got from them for the support we've done. It was amazing.
Yeah, so super thankful to everybody, just the people that started following us too and would send messages. Our support team back home will probably do a bigger thank you. Our sponsors, our friends and family, the sacrifices that they have made while we were gone riding is really greatly appreciated. So it's a huge team. We have a huge village of support.
Everybody at Diverse that held down the fort for me.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, so we could not thank you guys enough, but it's an adventure for all of us. Hopefully, we hope you felt like you came along for the ride, and we've got some ideas of how to share more of our trips. But yeah, it was an incredible experience, and we're looking forward to providing you with more opportunities to watch us on our bikes. So, and yeah, it's all good. Thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I actually have a couple. I don't think they're saddle sores, but man, my saddle, this Brooks, she ain't sleek and sexy, but
Are you kidding me?
she's-
That
she's-
saddle's like you.
she's
Broad
come,
and comfortable. That's pretty good.
24 years of
And a,
marriage.
and a little bit worn in.
But loyal as can all be, and I have got a nice. My butt doesn't hurt as bad as yours,
No,
so
it doesn't.
you anyway.
Okay.
You're such a dummy.
Okay, what are we listening to there?
Life is a highway.
We're gonna wait for the chorus and then you can sing it. What is this? You gotta sing it.
Gonna ride it all night long.
Bow, bow, bow.
You're going my way.
Our neighbor before we left said our balls are bigger than elephants. Yeah. Look at the size of this guy. Don't want to try and eat him.
We should name him. I was thinking C5TS, kind of like R2D2.
I don't know. I'm not naming anything. What I do know is the only thing I'm allowed to name is my bikes, and I'm calling all my bikes Kristen because that's the only thing I'm allowed to ride. Happy wife, happy life.
Keeping it PG. What's with your straps?
My straps are perfect. 2 fingers.
Flopping around. Got your little holders at the bottom under your chin.
That's where else are they supposed to be?
Under your ear, so it keeps it on.
Oh, these things.
Yeah.
I had no idea they're down this low.
That's what I told you days
They're
ago.
not supposed to.
And you're like, oh, I like them.
I was wondering why my helmet kept falling forward. I'm gonna fix that right now.
Aw, there you go, buddy.
Look at a squash plant. Up to the spirit in the sky. I said, where I go when I die. I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. Oh, that's like a little cactus on the side of the road. Bunch of pricks. Why are you recording?
And they said it was the best cola.
Best chocolate milk, not really.
And I would say it's actually really good.
Let me check. That's okay.
Just so you know, when you're riding with PL, the only time you stop to eat is when he's hungry. If not, you try to keep up and eat at the same time while not choking. Don't eat with your, don't talk with your mouth full, kids. Bad manners.
How was it?
Good.
Just good? 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a sign of power. See which way they're pointing? They're pointing that way. And guess where we're going? That way. That means these big bastards are picking up wind that we gotta ride into. Dang. She went. Kristen? I don't know where she went. I have no clue where she is.
Hey, what you doing?
Tracking my drone with my handheld device because taking a view of those beautiful mountains from a side profile. Ran it right into the freaking mountain. Can't make that shit up.
What are you doing?
I'm stuffing a cheese and bacon bun with Oreo cookies. There's one way to get calories. Shove your cheese bun full of Oreo cookies.
Instead of eating them separately? Okay, what are you doing?
I'm hiking my bike.
It's
It's no easy feat when your bike's as big as the trail.
Okay, so it's day 69. We are getting ready to leave. And last night the wind was so crazy. It blew our laundry off the deck, and Pale's sock is up there. I don't know if you can see it. Right there. So we're gonna try and figure out if he can get it. Because it's so close. He needs something to stand on. Let's see. Oh, success. Hey, babe.
Can't make that shit up.
Hey, you looking at me? You looking at me, huh? Moo. Look at the graffiti on these things. That's crazy. That's beautiful. I say crazy a lot, I know. Hey, that's sad. Way to go, baby. Doing your domestic duties.
Ride for water.
I'm gonna get in shit for saying that.